What's up? We are Trap Hill Collision. You're watching Movies from Another World, and we just got back from watching Halloween Ends, and I think we're all going to have a lot to say about it. So we're just going to start and share our opinions. I figured we'd start with initial thoughts. So we also have a special guest, Luis, one of our good friends of the band. So he's gonna share his opinion in the time that he has. So, Luis, what did you think of the movie?
It's one way to end a series. I'll say that. Just so much. There's just so much I want to say, and I want to get your guys' opinions on it as well. It's good enough for me. Good enough for me. Satisfactory kills. If that's what you're if you want kills, if you want creative kills, they got it. I think they did a good job with it. But,
okay.
Yeah.
So you'd say you'd recommend the movie?
Yeah, I'd go watch it. Yeah.
Okay. And
I don't care.
okay, so if that's your initial thought, yeah. All right, Rocky. What was your just initial thoughts of the movie? Just go right in.
I thought it was pretty funny. And we'll get into it later, but yeah, I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah. Trevor?
I'm tempted to say that it's utterly bizarre, but not in a like fun Halloween 3 way, more in a we have no idea what we're doing kind of way. Where, and it is funny. And I liked the 2018 Halloween quite a bit. I didn't think it was perfect, but I thought it was really solid. And then I didn't like Halloween Kills at all personally. This one felt really just odd. There's lots of things about it that we'll get into that is, again, funny. It's kind of baffling in a lot of ways, but also I couldn't really get that mad at it, and I think it's mostly just because I don't particularly feel invested anymore. I'm just sort of here to watch the fireworks. Jebby?
Yeah, I didn't like it. I thought it was strange. I thought they made a lot of weird decisions, and like kind of echoing what you said, I feel it's entirely obvious what occurred, which is they made Halloween 2018. It was good. And then they just forced 2 sequels that they had no idea where they wanted to take the story. And I think it really shows, especially in a lot of the very weird decisions that were made with certain characters and the sidelining of every reason that you care about this movie. So I figured we'd just like dive right in to I guess we could start with the positives, because like Luis is probably going to have the most to say about that. I've got a few positives, but it's mostly negative for me.
I too have a few positives.
What an opener.
Yes, I was good. The opening scene was awesome.
To me, it felt like
That got the biggest laugh out of me.
Yeah.
I really liked it was a positive subversion that was entertaining, and it felt like what you were saying, where they didn't really have a plan going into this movie or the last one, but it felt like I said, what's like a subversion that we can do where there's this really shocking, weird opening scene that no one's going to expect. They came up with that, and then they built the movie around that, where they're like, well, how do we... Because you can't just have that happen and then it not relate to anything. So they're like, well, let's make that guy the main character, except he is, it's really weird.
Well, see, I kind of had the exact opposite reaction. I thought that was just going to be a thing that occurred just to be a subversion, and then the rest of the movie was going to be like a normal Halloween movie.
Yeah, I kind of figured the same thing.
And it wasn't. But yeah, like I thought the opening scene was like really good, and I was like it invested me immediately. But then the rest of the movie,
happens.
Yeah, so that's for me kind of where the positives end. But what else did you like enjoy about the movie?
I mean, like, great opener, really gets you on the hook, and you're like, all right, let's see this. I don't know if it's just because I've only seen like 7 movies, so that's all I can compare it to, but it's like getting strong Taxi Driver vibes from this right now. Because at one point, basically in my head, I was going, this is a man who's had enough, who's gonna stand up. One of these days, a real rain's gonna come down and wash the filth off these streets. And it's like, oh, all right, okay. Yeah. It's not everything's Taxi Driver, Louis, and it's like, no, but he's doing it pretty well. He's doing it pretty Taxi Driver like. So, but aside from that, it was like you guys said. I don't know. I brain too smooth to understand. Like, is this a metaphor? Is this really happening? Is he hallucinating?
Marty Scorsese probably could have helped this movie out.
Yeah, I will say too, the other positives, like I thought a couple of the kills were cool, but I felt that there really wasn't nearly enough of that type of thing. Like most of the movie is very, very slow, which was like surprising.
It's very boring.
This one didn't have as high of a body count, I don't think.
Yeah.
Oh no, especially not compared to Halloween Kills.
Yeah, Halloween Kills. He like the amount of people he kills in this movie. He kills in the first scene in Halloween Kills.
Just the fireman alone, I think.
Yeah.
That is another thing this is one of those things where it's very. They almost went the opposite extreme, where it's like a complaint I had about Halloween Kills is what we call like John Wick, Michael Myers, where he's not too good at killing people. He's just too like action movie about it. Where he's like, I remember the bit in Halloween Kills where where he axes all those firefighters, and it was just very like jarring. It's like felt odd to me. This one they almost went the exact opposite direction, where he's just like this like sewer cave person, and it's just kind of like weird. It's not really that cool. It's just like, okay, you made Michael Myers like Splinter from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, except he's not a rat.
Yeah. And I thought it was, I don't know where you guys thought the story was going, but as soon as it introduced, like it actually showed Michael Myers for the first time, I thought for sure that it was going to be that he's like some sort of hallucination of this guy, and that Michael Myers was not going to be in the movie at all.
Yeah,
because that's what, to me, it really felt like the movie was pointing towards.
I thought there was going to be some twist about the intro where like the way he remembered it isn't like really the way it happened, and like maybe he was really like a psycho murderer rather than like a victim of unfortunate circumstances.
Yeah.
But they didn't go that route. Instead, he becomes the new Michael Myers.
And then dies.
Dies?
That's the thing that threw me off. Is like if the whole thematic purpose of the movie is that Michael Myers he's pure evil and he's spreading to other people, and it's like they end the movie like the main guy, whatever his name is, like he just kind of leaves the movie.
Do you remember what his name was?
Yeah, no,
I don't.
I remember.
We just watched this movie.
I remember
3 hours of my life gone, and I don't remember this name.
It was Corey.
Oh,
Oh
Yes,
yeah,
it's Corey.
Yeah, you definitely just remember that. Then look it up like a coward.
Yeah, I definitely
I
remember
remember
that.
Jeremy, R.I.P. Jeremy.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, I remember him. Corey, he got thrown off a bridge.
He's in the house, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, it's so weird because it's like he just kind of drops out of the movie. Like, I mean, it's at the end, but there's no sort of like reflection on the effect that Michael Myers has had. It's just like it felt like as soon as they got rid of that character, they're like, okay, now we can have these scenes with Michael Myers where they decide that he has to die in this one, I guess, because you're contractually obligated to make one more movie.
Yeah.
But like, it just felt like the focus was so. They just clearly felt so.
I think the focus was non-existent.
There wasn't any.
They don't really. I mean, they focus on this Corey character for like a bunch of the movie, but then he's not even really the focus at the very end, and they essentially sideline like Laurie Strode for the movie. She's given almost nothing to do throughout it. She's kind of a plot device to get him to her granddaughter, and then she's just like, I looked into his eyes.
Yeah.
The devil's eyes. You know?
I will say though, in vein of positives, there was more plot to this movie than Halloween Kills.
Yeah.
Technically.
Yeah. Well,
Technically, that's correct.
that doesn't
but-
mean it's good, but there was like there's like a narrative. There wasn't much of a narrative in Kills.
It subverts your expectations more, but I'd hardly say that's a positive. It just feels like there feels like we got to do something different. We got one more Halloween movie we got to do something different.
Yeah, I'm just saying it had an actual storyline as opposed to Kills, which was just evil dies tonight. That's all that movie was.
Well, this movie has that too. It's just there's less of it. I don't think it makes it better, but there is less of it in this one. I think the dialogue and the tonal issues I personally had with Halloween Kills, where it's like comedy felt like it didn't fit and stuff, that's still kind of in this one, but there's just like there's not as much of it. It's because there's not as much. you say there's like more of a plot, and I guess, but it felt like nothing was really keeping me involved for most of the movie. It felt like I was just kind of sitting there bored, and then until it got schlocky and laughably bad at certain points.
Yeah, the editing in this movie is also just bad.
Sorry, what were you saying, Luis?
No, I was saying I really expected them to go like, I don't want to say Bonnie and Clyde because there's other like couple killers, like young kids on committing crimes.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, so they're going like, okay, she's gonna do this now. She's gonna join this dude, and they're gonna be evil, like, you know, dual shanking. And did she help with the doctor?
No, she did not.
Because I was like, maybe that's how. Maybe that's
yeah.
Was that the?
It was him and Michael, and they did the callback where he stabs the bitch into the wall,
Staple to
with
the
the kitchen
wall.
knife.
Yeah.
They did the callback.
I think they've done in all the every movie.
And again, like, he's been living in the sewer for a year supposedly, but he's still yoked because he just one-handed.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Well, also like the way they like establish it, where like apparently killing and stabbing heals Michael Myers now. Like he's a superhero.
You see how
like
Until it doesn't at the end.
yeah.
yeah,
Is this like is Michael Myers a Highlander? Is that the point of this movie? Michael Myers is the Highlander.
Well, it's funny, like, so that when the kid like first like it's Michael Myers in the sewer, and it's like weird. And he looks into his eyes, and it's so like melodramatic. It's like
That's all this movie is melodrama.
It's melodrama and boringness, and then schlock. It's an odd combination, but there's a bit the bit where he's like, I want you to teach me how to do it. He doesn't say teach me how to be evil. He says teach me, and then he brings him a guy, and he's like intently like watching him as he stabs him, and I'm like, he's like studying it. I'm like, you want him to teach you how to like stab people, which you've already done?
Yeah.
It's like what?
Was he not worried about, like, because I don't know if you guys have like heard like different stories where, like, you know, people get stabbed. Like, if the knife is big enough, it's going through. And if we're led to believe that he's just like, you know, a hydraulic press of a fucking stab machine.
Yeah, if it can go through a bitch and staple her to the wall,
Like, it's going
it'll go
through.
through that guy and into
And
you.
it's like his chest is like, you're right there. You're getting stabbed in the junk, dude. But that's aside from that. Also, I love how it's like, you got to teach me how to do it.
And he just stabs him, and he's like, okay.
He just like gets up like, oh god,
Yeah.
I gotta get up.
Can-
Gotta
Yeah.
stab this guy.
But then, like, once he starts stabbing, he gets his strength back, which is like the stupidest thing ever.
Yeah.
It's like, if you hate when Halloween goes supernatural, is this like not the most supernatural
Well,
thing?
okay, that's the thing, too.
I guess it's not, but still.
I felt the
Hulkamania.
movie also. This is the problem with sort of the reboot stuff. Is I think the 2018 Halloween movie was a pretty good follow up to the original. I think tonally, atmospherically, score wise, it was really good. But then but then Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, they're just so. They're both just so disjointed from the previous one and the next one. So it's like there's no sort of cohesive like feel to them. They're all so like all over the place, because Halloween Kills, he's just straight up a murder machine and he can't be stopped. And he starts to feel that way in Halloween 2018, but it's not quite so crazy because he still could have died at the end of that movie, but they decided to make a sequel.
Yeah.
But this movie, he's just hilariously weak, and he allows basically a kid to just like push him around and steal his mask.
Yeah, that was the funniest scene.
That was the most surreal scene I think I've ever seen in a movie, because what they've set up in all the previous movies, he just gets pushed around.
Well, it's also
like
like
a child.
it's also like
He got mugged by teenagers.
Yeah.
well, it's also like the execution. No pun intended. Like the visual execution. It's like 90% of the reason people think that Michael Myers is cool and that people think the original Halloween is cool is because of the way it was made and the way that it's shot. Like, the story is not that crazy. A guy kills people, that's it. But like, it's all about like the language of cinema. Even if you don't realize it, like there's a magic to like how it was done. And something like, it wasn't just this, like this movie is just kind of an example, but like so many of the shots feel like there's all these like there's a lot of like awkward zooms, and the I think what makes that for me part of what makes that bit where he just storms into Michael Myers' like cave dweller, like the Michael cave, and he just like he's I need your mask, I guess, whatever, and it's just this flat comedy shot where it's like they're going in and out of view of the frame, and he's like wrestling around Michael. And it's like in Scooby-Doo when they're like running in and out of the doors from side to side.
I was literally just thinking that.
Yeah, it's so not scary, but it's not like thematically poignant. It's just we got to have Michael Myers in the movie more, so let's have this guy in this flat comedy shot just like wrestle him.
And that's where I thought the movie was going to be, that it was like all in his mind and stuff, and Michael Myers was dead, or he found his body down there and took his mask. That's where I thought it was going, because that makes absolutely no sense with everything that we've seen before it. Even in the movie, it comes out of nowhere as just like, why? How? how is he able to be beaten by a kid that just got beat up by two teenagers? Well, four of them, I guess. A couple of teenagers a few scenes before. You're supposed to believe that this unstoppable killing machine is beaten by this kid, essentially. And it came out of nowhere, and I found it one of the funniest scenes I've seen in a movie.
Yeah, I noticed a lot of like the shots in this movie were just like really weird and just oddly framed.
Yeah,
it was like,
not in an interesting way.
Yeah, it was like they were like trying to pretend they had like artistic integrity, but like didn't actually know what to like do with any of the interesting ideas they might have had.
Yeah.
How many times do you think the hobo was like, Michael's in the sewers, I seen him. He's in there. He's feasting on the corpses, and people are like, "Oh, yep, that's old crazy Jim over there collecting cans."
And I guess Michael just decided to like not do anything to him, which I guess you could say, well, he doesn't have any like logic to what he does, and it's like that works in like one movie where it's not even that it has to be one movie. It's like when you make like these like series of movies like this, and like it just feels like a plot contrivance. It's like, well, he doesn't kill the old man because he's Michael Myers, and it's like, well, he can't kill this kid. He just decides not to or whatever because he's Michael Myers. And it's like, if you ask questions about it, they're like, well, he's Michael Myers. He's pure evil. He's unpredictable. And it's like that shtick gets really old.
Well,
really
going
quick.
back to Halloween 2018 shortly, like that movie, it worked with the first one in his actions. All the other sequels before that built it up as there's some they try to explain they try to give him a reason for what he does, and that movie's whole point is like there is no reason.
Yeah,
he's just a crazy person that kills people.
Yeah.
And then they kind of undo that where they just they make it whatever they want it to be for the movie instead of it truly just being it's just coincidental who he kills, and now it's not even that he's just a mindless killing machine, but now he disappears for 3-4 years and is only brought back out when a random person he decides not to kill, the only person he's ever decided not to kill for some reason, besides that baby, I guess, in 2018, but he's never not killed a person any other time, but I guess he can see that he's just like him or something, and that's where I just felt it was so detached. Even from Halloween Kills, it's just not even. It doesn't even feel like, which I haven't looked, but it doesn't even feel like it's the same people making any of these decisions at this point.
Yeah. I mean, it looked
There's
like
no
looked like
vision.
It looked like there was the same director, David Gordon Green, and stuff. And it's, I mean, it makes sense to me a little bit because like there's certain like tonal things that he did in Halloween Kills that again I'm not a fan of here. It's just like that the script is just like. I would say bonkers, but it feels just kind of like desperate. Like we gotta make a movie, let's make it about some guy, and let's have Michael Myers be in a. It just feels like they're throwing stuff at the wall to me.
I kind of feel happy about the fact that I was like, oh, look at that gigantic disposal machine thing in that junkyard. I think that's the Chekhov gun, if you will.
Yeah.
I really hope to come back to that at some point. And then when they were back in the junkyard, I was like, here it comes. There it is. And then nothing happened. I was like, oh man, I was wrong. I guess not. But then, right at the end where they're like, no, we're finishing it. This ends now. And straight into the compactor.
That was pretty gnarly too.
Also, like, because Lori was like standing on the opposite end, I was like, she's gonna slip. Right
Yeah, I
Yeah, that's what I was
know.
waiting
I thought
for.
she was gonna kill
I
herself.
was like, she's gonna go.
Yeah.
Isn't also
I thought they were going to go out together.
isn't also comical that they had a literal funeral procession for Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Again,
And the
that
whole
was such
town
a
is-
surreal thing. Like, there's a lot of things in this movie I'm just shocked.
This ain't how we do things, Chief. It is tonight.
Oh my god, the cowboy hat.
It's
The cowboy hat.
they actually put that in a movie, and it had a many $1 million budget,
Yeah.
and it exists, and you can watch it.
I
But
think the reason that all this happened in that town is just because of the sheer police incompetence that we've seen. Because it's like, this isn't how we do it. Yes, it is. This is why people are dying.
And it feels like there's so much of an emphasis on this movie and the last one about Haddonfield specific. It's a cursed town and all that. And this could just be me personally. I think isn't it like creepier when it's not the town, it's just more so that it's just a thing that happened a long time ago that people aren't even really sure. Like, it's the idea of like fear being instilled in people is kind of neat, but it feels like it's mostly dropped, and it's just, oh, there's this one guy who goes crazy, and just the melodramatic nature of it. Like, he literally looks into Michael Myers' eyes and he decides he needs to be evil, and all these like it just feels so like forced to me.
Yeah, I thought this movie, the dialogue and the acting were slightly better than Halloween Kills. Like, I wasn't cringing or just absolutely laughing whenever anybody was talking in
There
this
were a
one.
couple line
But
deliveries.
there was a couple
Yeah.
of them that were, but like Halloween Kills was kind of on another level with that.
Well, that was
Yeah.
because no one could say that dialogue.
But
well.
it's also like you could do a drinking game of Halloween Kills when the phrase
Evil
"evil dies
dies
tonight" and you'd be dead in the first like 30 minutes.
It's just really bad. I was like I thought that like the main guy, his performance, I thought was like pretty good.
I thought it was fine.
It's,
I didn't.
You talking about Corey in the house?
Now again,
Yeah.
he wasn't. But that's the problem too. He wasn't given a whole lot to work with. That's my whole problem with this movie is like the stuff that is the characters to me don't draw you in for the amount, because you have two extremes, right? You have Halloween Kills that's just a bunch of kills, so that's one end of the spectrum, and that's entertaining, and people like that. That's definitely what a lot of people are there for. And then you have the other end of the spectrum, which is like Halloween 2018. Where there's less kills, but it's more about the characters and the atmosphere and the dialogue and all that. But this movie is neither.
Yeah.
The kills are fine. There's not really any that are super memorable.
What about the radio DJ?
That was probably the best one, but even
Yeah.
that was, besides the tongue,
Yeah.
that was the only part that was really.
It was.
It was kind of, I guess, the funniness with the
pretty-
sound and all that, but
it was pretty funny.
I think that felt like a leftover thing they had from the last movie, and they just didn't use it because that's like the
Yeah.
only kill like that in the movie. Like this
Yeah.
isn't really like a movie you watch for like. There's not that many. It's like you said, it doesn't really satisfy either itch.
Yeah.
It's just most of the movie is just like. It's pretending like it's deeper than it really is, because it's like
yeah.
it's like a drama for most of it. It's like, but it's like there's just melodrama. It's not quite.
Yeah,
There's
it's
just no meat.
It's a film that acts like it has something to say about like the reciprocity of evil or whatever.
That's what made me mad about Halloween Kills, is that movie also acted like it was way smarter than it is, which is why it like irritated me. This one less so, but it's just this one's more boring. I don't know. It's more boring than the last one, but it is funny, but not like it wasn't like consistently funny. It was just like got pretty funny towards the end.
Yeah, the ending was pretty funny. Not gonna lie. When they crucified Michael Myers on the countertop.
they have one of his legs and two of his arms pinned, and he like wiggles the one leg. He like tries to kick her.
That did happen,
She
yeah.
just suplexes him with the fucking fridge.
Yeah.
my
Brings
God.
it down on top of him.
Yeah, and then she like pierced his side like Jesus.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was like, that's such a
It's like
Strange
it was like
spot to stab somebody.
are they equating Michael Myers to Jesus with this scene? scene.
I guess the only way to kill Mike, I guess Michael Myers is a completely unstoppable killing machine unless you
Just
bleed,
like
unless
Jesus.
you bleed him. And I guess if you bleed him, like
Yeah.
he has an Achilles heel.
Yeah.
So they have literally taken the one thing that's still cool about Michael Myers and completely like, oh no, you just need to bleed him, I guess.
Yeah, and they also like showed his face but didn't.
I'm fine with that. It doesn't matter at this point.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But like I did kind of hate when he was fighting Laurie and she did the thing where she like almost pulls his mask off again and then he pulls it back on. I was like that
Well, it's like, and then it's just weird that we.
I almost thought that he was gonna like vilify. Well, one, the bad kids are band kids. They're not jocks. They're band kids.
which is accurate.
For one, I was just like, oh, you would take that shit from a tuba player, son? Like, yeah. For one, no. For two, I guess, sure, whatever. It's 2022. I guess band kids are the new jocks or whatever.
Band kids are dicks.
But either way, like, there's a tangent here and I lost it completely. The fact that band kids were the bullies to this.
Yeah,
he's like 22 years old.
I was gonna say the fact
Yeah.
that this grown ass man is getting pushed around by like 17-year-olds.
You gotta get it together.
Also, Laurie is a jerk because she's like, hey, you want to sabotage their car, even though she knows that everyone in this town knows each other, and these kids will probably just come and like beat them up or threaten them, which they do
did.
later.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but I for sure thought that he was gonna vilify the leader shitbird, because it's like, oh, your friend's dead, you killed my dad, convenient. And I was like, guess who's gonna be the only guy that lives? But I'm gonna knock you out, and I'm gonna tell him you did this. I'm gonna blame you. I'm gonna blame you for the whole thing, and you're gonna be the new bad guy. I was like, yeah, that'd be a really cool thing for them to do.
That's what I was hoping they would do.
And then
too.
they didn't. He actually, that was actually one of the more, I want to say brutal deaths, because one thing's getting stabbed and bludgeoned to death, but the other thing is having your face melted.
Yeah, that was pretty gnarly.
And it was weird. They don't really.
Yeah, it's like off camera.
They don't even want to
shy
show
away
you
from it.
This particular kill.
Complete evisceration and getting shot in the face is perfectly fine, but
Yeah.
melting a kid's face with a blowtorch is just too past the limit.
I guess so.
Yeah, that's something too. I did find the bully characters, the Stephen King level bully characters, to be
Oh, they're all
laughably like funny. Like, I don't know, they're just the opposite of people that you would find threatening, or no, it's like you just be like, get out of here.
It's
Yeah,
weird
shoot.
that the one girl was like, guys, we really should do this. And it's like, shut up, we're doing it.
And then she's just like, okay.
And she's like, yeah, all right. And it's like, you kind of deserve it. I mean, you didn't do nothing. You didn't speak up. But
They didn't do
They
nothing.
didn't do nothing. Nothing for nobody. But yeah, it was like any chance of someone actually having character is just like squashed in this.
Yeah,
Where is
even
this
like
town?
Laurie. Even Laurie is just like incredibly neutered in this movie.
Haddonfield, Illinois, which is not a real place, but it's set in
no,
Illinois.
but like, cause like they kept the accent. I was like, hey, forget about it. You know, hey, this kid, what are you doing? Stop hanging out with them kids. You're breaking your mother's heart, basically.
yeah.
But yeah, I was like, where is this? Why do they have that accent? It's confusing.
on a long line of like movies with their ups and downs, mostly downs. Like the Halloween, like this is just kind of another like
Another brick in the wall.
another crappy brick in a wall in a
shit wall.
in a shit tower.
Another crappy brick in a shit wall of a shit outhouse.
Yeah.
Well, something that I always think about when I'm watching movies like this is how, where it really fails for me is how like rewatchable is this in terms of just entertainment value for like the kills. Because there's lots of movies, like I love the Friday the 13th. Are most of them technically good movies? No, but they're just fun to watch in a line because there's so much just entertainment to be had out of them. But this is like, I just can't imagine ever rewatching this because there's nothing about it that's like fun. It's not even like a fun movie.
Yeah. All the interest you have in the movie is sucked up by the end of it, and you just never want to see it again.
And I find it to be a shockingly anticlimactic end to to all this, because if you watch Halloween Kills, It's like he's on a tear, and then he goes out like that, and it's just pathetic.
It's all the damage that they did with that the iron. That iron in the last bit of Halloween Kills really just took it out of him.
Yeah.
I guess so.
I guess the bullets.
Is he a vampire?
I guess the bullets. I guess the bullets to the throat and the axe to the face. Those weren't really that bad. But like the Home Alone like iron to the face.
Yeah.
That was the real knockout.
Like
Yeah.
the cast iron skillet frying pan probably just
Maybe
too much for him.
maybe he just got weakened because he contracted COVID.
Yeah. Oh, God. But yeah, I found it to be just shocking that they ended it like that, especially for him to barely be in the movie, and Laurie's character to barely be in the movie.
It didn't work out very Jaws for them.
It did not.
Showing him less did not work out.
No.
Yeah, and he doesn't even he really just he's not scary in the movie either.
Yeah, I was gonna
very
say,
pathetic.
did any of you find this movie, scary?
No,
Yeah.
dude, I was surprised that like one guy in our row jumped at like one of the scares, but like I was like paying attention, like none of the scares, not even any of the jump scares got anyone. Everyone just seemed so bored in that movie theater. And immediately, as soon as credits rolled, like some guy to the right of me goes, "Well, that sucked."
I heard that.
Terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, I was very surprised by the decisions because I figured by now with something like this, again, it's just such a stark follow-up to Halloween Kills because that movie, a lot of like Halloween fans really love that movie because it is just what a lot of people look for in horror movies, which is just the kills and just Michael Myers just killing people, and that's what that movie is. And a lot, there's a lot of bad parts in it and all that, but it was that, and this movie just delivers on neither front. Because I heard a little bit. I didn't want to say anything to you guys, but I heard a little bit about this movie was spoiled a little bit for me. Not really, but I heard that basically Michael Myers wasn't in it that much, and I was intrigued because I was like, well, that's an interesting idea, but you have to actually have characters that are well written and a story worth telling.
Yeah.
And it just felt like they didn't have a real clear idea of what they wanted to do.
It felt like they were trying to turn the new Michael Myers, Corey, whatever, into like a anti-hero or some shit.
Yeah.
Like, this felt like a really weird, like, Darkman ripoff or something like that. Taxi Driver,
Driver.
yeah.
Every movie is just a ripoff of Taxi Driver or Darkman. Two, movies that are basically the same. But
Yeah,
like,
on God.
But like, I think they're in a weird spot. I mean, they could have done this better. I'm not saying they have an excuse, but like, if you think about it, like, Halloween, it's an idea built around. It's not like it's to me like Halloween is not. You can just make it about a guy who kills people, and the movie is just an excuse to have kills. But Halloween at its core was always like, it wasn't about like watching a guy kill as many people as possible. It's about the idea behind Michael Myers, and that idea can last like roughly 1.5 or 2 movies. And I think the 2018 one did a good job thematically of continuing that as much as possible without going into like weird different territory. Halloween Kills went full like just go for guts, and then everything else was kind of sidelined and it suffered from it. But this was like they knew like I guess we got to have like a story and themes, so they had a story and themes, and they did their homework assignment.
It's a little disappointing because I feel like there could have been something interesting in here somewhere. They just didn't handle it in a way that worked out.
Yeah, it's like there's some interesting ideas in the movie, but like none of them are executed.
But I mean, the
particularly
character
well.
again, going back to that, the Corey character that you spend most of the movie with, like
who's
probably
basically Bully
80% of the
McGuire from
runtime.
Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, maybe like 80% of the runtime.
He was Bully McGuire. Yeah.
He threw dirt in their eye.
I was like wondering like when he told the guy at the restaurant like back off man. I was like dun, 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 dun. I was like that'd be great. But
Yeah,
Bruce Campbell does a cameo.
This movie could have benefited from being directed by Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there were about as many zooms as a Sam Raimi movie, except no. See, this movie's not fun, so Sam Raimi would not have been able to work with that.
I bet he could have salvaged it.
Did the old man at the Walmart spoil the movie for you as well?
No, I just saw something. I just saw something like on somewhere. Maybe it was like the news or something. It was like,
The news.
the news. Well, I mean, like the news tab of like your.
This just in: the new Halloween movie's not very good.
Yeah, well, it was just like people disappointed at lack of screen time for Michael Myers or something, and I was like, I'm intrigued now, but again, when you focus on a character for so much of the movie, and 80% of the runtime or whatever is his character, and then for him to just basically be inconsequential, I also one of the strangest, again, this is weird to say because it's a strange movie, but one of the strangest scenes of the movie is when they kill that doctor and nurse couple in that scene. How did he get Michael Myers there?
Yeah.
And where did he go at? Like, was there a conversation off screen that's like, we're going to go kill these two? What was Michael Myers?
Why were they in cahoots in that scene and then fighting each other in like 2 other scenes after that?
Maybe
Yeah.
they ran through it
And
rehearsal.
then-
Okay, you'll stay in here, and then I'm gonna
Do you
come
think
around
he
here.
rode on him?
Yes.
on the
Okay. So
motorcycle?
I don't know if you
Yeah.
caught this too, Rocky. I looked at you and laughed when this happened. I thought because it shows that scene and then it cuts to them on the motorcycle. And there's a scene where it's just 2 people, and I'm like, is that Michael Myers on that motorcycle?
That's why I thought that.
I thought they were going to do that, and I'm like, I'm about to just burst out laughing in this
Yeah.
theater right now if that's the case.
That's why I thought that what's her name was there. I was like, oh, okay, so they're doing they're going crazy together. Type,
Yeah, I thought it was gonna
like
be
a Mickey
him.
and Mallory type thing.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be him and her killing them.
Yeah.
And then they become like weird, like the next Michael Myers or
we're gonna
whatever.
burn it down.
Like at
We're
the
gonna
end
burn
of,
it all down.
end of Halloween 4, they do that with Jamie, I think her name is. They kind of do that, but you know what would have been great is at the end when they strap Michael to the roof. Instead of that, Laurie has him on her back at the motorcycle, and she's driving at like 1 mile per hour down the road.
I really thought that like they were gonna drive the whole ass car into the compactor and just like write it off,
Yeah.
I guess, like for insurance, like
See,
sacrificed Monster Man to compactor.
I thought they were gonna like horse split him. They were gonna like tie him up to like the different police cars
Yeah.
and drive in different
I
directions.
thought they were gonna do that, and then they're like, oh.
Or like they were gonna like turn him into an Irish car bomb or something
And
like
like
that.
you said, it just got goofy at the end where everyone's like, "Oh, hey, they got the Myers guy. Let's go see him." Like they're doing something. They're doing something at the old junkyard, and you were just short of having somebody like, since the radio guy's dead, he for sure would have been, "Get down to the old junkyard Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. Be there, be there, be there. We're killing Michael Myers himself into the compactor."
I mean, I'm just shocked the entire crowd wasn't just shouting like what they said in the last movie, "Evil
Yeah.
dies tonight."
Why didn't they like? You'd think
was the spirit?
if this movie was like more, even though it gets kind of silly and dumb at the end, like as boring as it is, you'd think like if you're making like a generic horror movie, like. Okay, we caught Michael Myers, and they go like they do King Kong, where like they tie him up as like an attraction before they kill him, and then he busts out and kills people. They don't even do that. It's just over.
I thought that's where the movie was heading to. Is at the end he was going to be on the roof of the car, and then right before they execute him, he's just going to break out, and then it's going to be like Halloween Kills all over again. He's just going to
guess the
slaughter
timeline,
everybody and escape.
I mean, I was happy.
guess so.
I was happy that he didn't because the movie was over. But
Well, I hate to break it to you, Trevor, but they're already talking about doing another one.
I know.
Of course they are.
Yeah,
Of course they are.
it'll never stop. As long as people have pockets to line, and as long as John Carpenter's like, yeah, whatever.
That brings up another. This is a perfect segue. I found the score to be shockingly not good.
I thought it was. Like,
I think
all right.
it's one of the worst. Like, even just the ending. They don't even roll the actual
Yeah.
Yeah.
theme song.
Hey, that was my favorite part was when they played The Reaper by Blue Oyster Cult. Also, guys, my pumpkin is done. Look
There you
at
go.
it.
Yay. But yeah, it wasn't anywhere near, like I told you, I just rewatched Halloween 2018. There wasn't anywhere near the same level of like creepy atmospheric tones as well as things to actually set the mood. It also, I don't know how you guys felt about this. And I just thought of this now. It doesn't really feel that Halloween-y.
No, the only
when it smash cuts to October 31st, and it's just that's the text on screen.
Yeah.
It's like this entire time you have no frame of reference for what time of year it is, other than the fact that she's baking a pumpkin pie, and then all of a sudden just black screen, blue text that says October 31st. So funny.
Yeah,
I wonder.
Decision.
It almost makes me think like. Where they're trying to save it in editing, and like the movie like didn't even take place in Halloween, and they like ADR a few lines, and they put a title card that says October 31st. I'm like, sure. I mean, it didn't work, but you tried.
Yeah.
There was that costume party that she went to.
That was it.
So I liked I appreciated the use of Halloween by Dead Kennedys. It's a great song, but. These people aren't listening to that. They're listening to some garbage. Like they're not listening.
They're
to that.
listening to Walk to Poland or what the.
Yeah, I just the score I just felt was not nearly as good as a lot of the other ones.
It was great in 2018, and
the...
I still like the score in Halloween Kills. I think it's like the most consistently good part of these movies because John Carpenter and his crew and all that work on them. I was wondering there's that because they play Don't Fear the Reaper in the car in the original Halloween.
Yeah.
But they also play a song by the Coupe de Villes, which was John Carpenter's band. I was like, I wonder if they're gonna sneak that in there.
They should have played that at the end.
Should have played at the credit. No one would get it except for like 3 people.
Oh yeah.
Also,
100%.
I have 2 things I want to say before I forget them. One, the party scene where he's got the stupid scarecrow mask. I was like, oh my god, he's gonna wear that mask when he kills people, isn't he? And he did, and it was the dumbest thing ever. Second of all, of course they're watching The Thing in this movie because in the original Halloween they're watching The Thing from Another World.
Yeah.
That made me think like this movie. This is gonna be a very loose connection. It felt like they were like, what's popular now, and they kind of infused that. It felt like there was some
Dead Kennedys is really popular.
Yeah, but like there's some like Stranger Thing vibes because there's a bit in Stranger Things where they're watching The Thing, and it's like they're trying to like pull that like nostalgia factor, or like this like Stranger Things is about like monsters and stuff, so they want to make Michael Myers like this like monster that influences people, and they didn't realize that doesn't work. Like within this context, they're just like, well, what's popular now? And they just kind of threw ideas together. It felt desperate.
I am kind of glad that for once Laurie did pop a cap in somebody and it worked. Because, blah, blah, oh, look at you now. You're on the floor. You're going to stab me. Now you're not. What you going to do? And then she just pops 2 more caps because it's like, now nobody has bullets. It's like, really?
Yeah, that was a mind-numbing decision. Let me make sure that I'm as helpless as possible because
let me touch the murder weapon also.
It's in her DNA. It's in her DNA, man. She's been making crucial mistakes like this since she was like 20.
Yeah, I thought that was just the dumbest decision too. It's like, I don't know about you, but if I just saw somebody kill themselves by stabbing themselves in the neck, I wouldn't. My first instinct wouldn't be to pull it out.
Yeah. And it's
but you have to get that shot of her pulling the knife out right as her daughter or her granddaughter walks in.
All those like sequences where she like flashes back to like they show footage of the original movie and the movie past that, like the movie before this, and she's like all those like inside of her head like flashbacks and stuff. It doesn't feel like any of these movies have anything to do with each other. It's just like you're just showing footage.
Oh,
like
Also, when she was like, "You gotta find love somehow," you gotta find that person that makes you want to just flash your tits to death, and I was like, "What?"
Where did this come from?
This character would not say this.
Yeah,
that's another thing where I'm like the dialogue. It just like I guess because there's less of it. It just doesn't like when it is there. It really sticks out, and it's tonally like inconsistent.
Maybe her antidepressants just make her say weird things.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I hadn't seen any of the Halloweens until I watched the original 4 or so 5 years ago, and just seeing the new ones, I was like, all right, okay, yeah, she's doing. Anybody would be paranoid after having that happen to them, but even then, I was like, damn, those Activia commercials are really fucking you up. What are you doing? What are you saying, lady? Why are you like this? Cringe, but aside from that.
Yeah, and they totally change her character just on a dime. All of a sudden, she's just at peace with everything. And even though he's more of a threat now than he has ever been, clearly, after Halloween Kills, she just kind of gets over it and is like, oh, I'm happy with my life. And, yeah, I don't worry. I keep one gun in the house, and that's it. You know, the rest of it is just hope for the best, I guess. He's gone forever. I don't have to worry about him anymore, I guess. And it's like, but he's more of a threat now than he ever was, and he got away, and, you know.
He's just
Also,
hanging out in the sewers.
Apparently.
Because she was like, you should have seen Grandma before I was with her. She was not sober and all this other stuff. It's like, so you tell me Grandma was just in the woods in a cabin, just like doing lines and just like looking out the window every 5 seconds? Like, he's out there, he's coming to get me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Basically, it's. I'm like, I've run out of like. I'm not really angry, but I'm not disappointed either. I'm just kind of like, yeah, this movie's whatever. It's whatever. Especially with Halloween being the way it is, and there's been so many like, you know, like bad movies in it or whatever. This is just kind of like, they made another one. It's not that great. I guess it's kind of weird that Michael Myers isn't in it that much, but like whatever. It just kind of feels like going through the motions, except it's kind of weird, but not weird enough to be interesting.
It's confusing.
Circle back to what you asked earlier. Like, would you watch this again? The remake for The Evil Dead that came out in 2013, it's on Hulu, and I saw it, and I was like, oh, hell yeah. And I watched it. And if this was on Hulu, like, if I found this, and I was like, oh, look, Halloween Ends. Proceed down again to The Evil Dead again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I'm so glad that I could rewatch that other movie.
Yeah. I'd rather rewatch the new Hellraiser.
yeah. I think we can wrap it up if anybody has any closing, everybody has said what they need to say. I feel like I have. I think it's just very inconsistent with the other movies. I don't even think it really works as a movie on its own, to be honest. I think it's very slow, very boring for the most part, and what little happens, I don't think can really redeem it.
I would have enjoyed a Bonnie and Clyde type situation.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many other things that would have been more interesting that they just didn't do.
Yeah, it's like they took a weird idea but then proceeded to do like the least interesting thing with all the other decisions made in the movie, and we're just left with a mess.
A milquetoast, but it's kind of weird movie.
Yeah,
which is like,
and it's funny. You might disagree with this. I think it's the most fitting end to the Halloween franchise. If there's never another one, it just kind of peters out with a kind of anticlimactic death and bunch of weird decisions, and that's it.
This felt like a fucking Tumblr self-insert into the Halloween franchise.
What if they'd gotten Ryan Gosling to be Corey? Do you think maybe like we would have gotten more, oh man, he's just like me, for real?
Some really edgy kids like, I want to be the bad guy. Oh, but why can't have Michael Myers be? Let's have him be like a sewer rat, and he'll just like chill for most of the movie, and then I'll come and I'll beat him up and take his mask because I'm the big bad guy.
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
It really feels like the movie didn't understand Halloween.
Yeah.
just period, like all throughout the series, it just doesn't,
or even the holiday.
yeah there's not really anything, there's not really any scenes like that either. I mean, there's, like you said, the party scene, and I guess there's
not a single kid trick-or-treating.
What a shame. Does it even count as a Halloween movie?
I mean, I'd like to think it doesn't. I would like to think none of them do except for 1 and 3. Just go straight from 1 to 3.
Yeah. But, yeah, anybody else got any comments? I think I've said all that I think about it. And
I really enjoyed the meal I had at the movie theater while we watched this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Shout outs to Alamo.
Shout out to Alamo for having good food.
Yeah.
Every time.
Even if the movie's not worth it, the food is.
Yeah.
Every time, like, one of the people came up and said, hey, I have your food for you or whatever, I was like, oh, there's nice people here. And then I had to, like, turn my head back to the movie screen, and I was like, ah.
No. all the joy was just sucked out of you.
Yeah, when that's the best part of, watching a movie is, like, the 5 seconds total where you spent, like, not having to watch it. Movie's not great.
Yeah. All right. I guess that's it. Thanks for watching.
I can't amend. Good God, it won't end.